Now, we just heard that last question from a viewer who had a question about how the Omicron variant could impact travel plans. So we wanted to dig a little bit deeper into that topic. Let's now bring in Martin Firestone. He is a travel insurance broker and he's joining us from Toronto. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's start with where we left off with that question from Fern. We're wondering, what are the options for travelers when thinking about insurance for upcoming trips?
Yeah, that was a great question. I was actually waiting to answer it or be asked it. So the bottom line is, from a medical perspective, emergency, unexpected emergency, COVID is covered now by all insurers. That tells you right there that their risk is not there and they're happy and they will cover it without a rider, without a cap on it. It's considered as any other unexpected medical emergency. The problem is the trip interruption cancellation product that you just alluded to. At this point, it is a known cause and no insurance company is going to reimburse a claim if the reason for cancellation is because a border closed, an airline canceled, another wave. So you have to be very wary of that.
While the government is saying to avoid non-essential travel.
Well, it was when the level 3 travel advisory was in place, then it was removed, but it has still stayed intact since March 3rd of 2020. In fact, anybody buying a trip cancellation interruption product after that still has a big exclusion in it that you cannot cancel as a result of a COVID reason.
Okay. You know, when it comes to restrictions, though, even though some of these things certainly have remained the same, there have been some restrictions that have changed because of this new variant. Certainly, we even saw that just yesterday during our program. We heard from the federal ministers. So what have you been hearing from travelers, knowing that the announcement happened at 4 and it was going into effect, some of it was going into effect just last night?
Well, in this case, it's appearing that the unknown is even worse than the known. And the calls that are coming through today are all about what is the U.S. doing, and is there going to be an announcement tomorrow potentially setting up a 24-hour test that's required instead of the 72-hour, or even worse, could there be a 7-day quarantine in place for travelers arriving into the U.S. So all of them are very concerned about that. The international travelers are extremely concerned now that they'll go to a country that ultimately could get closed down or not accepted to come back into Canada, and then they'll get put out there with no way to get back home. So tremendous amount of hesitation. Some are canceling. Christmas holidays now, they're very worried about all the coming back to the Toronto airport or any of the airports for that matter, and they'll be held up in long delays. So just tremendous uncertainty at this point.
Now, Martin, given that you've been sort of very much entrenched in this situation in the past year, and of course, this is your area of expertise, just wondering for a gauge from you in terms of what you think is going to happen with a lot of people having trips over the holidays. So what's your read on the situation?
Yeah, so the way it is the last couple of days, I'm very concerned. I mean, a lot were backing out because of the need for children to be quarantined 14 days and not going to school, those under 12. So we lost a whole bunch of people that chose to cancel trips because of that reason. Now there is tremendous concern about the requirements and the PCR test that's needed not only 72 hours in advance to get onto the plane, but to get it when you come here and then self-isolate until the results are made clear. So there's just so much uncertainty that I think holiday season as we know it could be in jeopardy, and for sure international travel until next summer, in my opinion, is a real probable problem for many people.
And finally, Martin, I want to ask you about the industry, because thinking about pausing travel or having these sorts of restrictions, watching the industry slow again, it must feel like it's almost back to square one. So how is that industry reacting to these changes because of this new variant?
Well, it's like deja vu. Who's kidding who? November was a better month than pre-pandemic November, and surely much better than the last November. But now, with this coming back up, you're starting to see shades of hesitation, of cancellations, of people questioning whether they should go away. So quite a concern, and we're only hoping that in the next couple of weeks, a lot of good news could come out that the variant is covered by the vaccine, is not an issue as much as we think it is, and hopefully travel will kick and restart again.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure a lot of our viewers found that all very helpful. Thank you, Martin.